America is in the midst of a second Gilded Age, a time of extraordinary wealth for a select few but devastating inequality for the rest. The signs are everywhere. Billionaires launching themselves into space while millions struggle to pay rent, corporations enjoying record profits while workers face stagnant wages and rising costs. But how did we get here? To understand where we are, we need to look back to the First Gilded Age, which began in the 1870s. This was an era of rapid industrialization, groundbreaking technology, and unimaginable fortunes. Tycoons like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Vanderbilt amassed unprecedented wealth, reshaping America's economy and society. But for most Americans, it was a time of struggle. Millions worked grueling hours in unsafe factories for meager pay, living in overcrowded tenements. Corruption dominated politics as corporations bribed lawmakers to maintain monopolies and crush labor movements. Here's an example. In 1881, a railroad magnate funneled bribes to members of Congress to secure legislation that protected his monopoly. Meanwhile, his workers labored 12-hour days for poverty wages. Now consider this. Today, a billionaire funds luxury vacations for Supreme Court justices while decisions affecting millions are made in their favor. Which Gilded Age does that belong to? The answer is both. Today, the wealth gap is wider than it has been in over a century. The richest 1% control more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Median wages have barely budged in decades, even as corporate profits and CEO pay have soared. The top 0.1%, roughly 140,000 people, hold as much wealth as the bottom 90% of the population. This inequality isn't just economic, it's political. Billionaires and corporations pour unlimited funds into elections, drowning out the voices of ordinary Americans. Laws like Citizens United have turned money into speech, effectively legalizing bribery. Gerrymandering allows politicians to choose their voters, locking in power regardless of public opinion. And the Electoral College, a relic of the slavery era, continues to undermine democracy by giving outsized influence to less populous states. The result is a dangerous feedback loop. Concentrated wealth leads to concentrated power. Laws are written to benefit the wealthy, from tax loopholes to lax labor protections, which in turn allows them to accumulate even more wealth. Meanwhile, millions of Americans struggle with housing insecurity, medical debt, and stagnant wages. How unequal is America? Studies show that wealth concentration in the United States now mirrors pre-revolutionary France, where the richest 1% owned nearly everything, and the rest owned almost nothing. Like 18th century France, we live in a society where the rules are written to favor the elite, while the majority struggle to make ends meet. But history tells us something important. Gilded Ages don't last forever. The First Gilded Age gave way to the Progressive Era, a time of reforms that broke up monopolies, established labor protections, and reined in political corruption. It wasn't perfect, but it proved one thing: inequality isn't inevitable. It's the result of choices about laws, taxes, and who wields power. The question we face today is whether we'll break the cycle again. Will we allow inequality to grow unchecked until the system collapses, or will we demand a fairer, more democratic future? History has shown us that Gilded Ages always end. The question isn't if, but how and at what cost. Please subscribe to the Intellectualist's new YouTube channel, where we present insightful videos analyzing the current events shaping the world. Turn on notifications to receive the latest updates from the channel.